Hello, I'm JENNESS, and I have the rich honor of speaking today about my mentor, Dr. Conrad. I was privileged to work here at Servant Solutions as president for a period of time, and now in a part-time role of support and strategy. And we just want to take a few minutes to honor the greatness of this man, what he did for us, and how he laid a foundation that just still provides a springboard for the ministry that we do today. We're just so grateful for his life. So in a few minutes, you're going to watch some videos from some very special people within the Church of God Ministries building, people from different perspectives, some who did not get to overlap and work with Harold, but all who have been influenced deeply by the richness of his ministry. So I hope you enjoy those. For me, I just want to share a couple of comments and thoughts about what this man has done for me and the impact that he had on my life. Harold was my mentor. When I came to work here, he was just completing his 20 years from 1973 to 1993 as executive secretary of the Board of Pensions. It was a tremendously successful period that he presided over and did such a great job. And we, again, are benefited by that today because of his faithfulness and the strength of his work. Prior to that, he pastored 3 phenomenal churches, great churches within the Church of God movement. And so his entire ministry has been a springboard for many people, and he mentored many people, not just me. Last year, in 2019, when I transitioned from my position here into a part-time role, I captured some things that were important to me in a book, and 40 things that I thought really shaped who I had become relative to the work that I had done. And one of those key chapters is one I want to just lift up a couple sentences from about Dr. Conrad. It's entitled The Mentor. Hopefully you have someone in your life who's been a mentor, a person God placed in your life who just has provided guidance throughout, instruction, and lots of time. I've had several of these, but none more impactful than Dr. Harold Conrad. He led Servant Solutions, which was the Board of Pensions before I did, and did that for 20 years faithfully. He was everything about the Board of Pensions and was known nationally as an icon and leader. Throughout his ministry, in his life and in his work, he became endeared to countless numbers of people. One of the largest aspects of my relationship with Dr. Conrad was what he did for me when it came time for me to come and replace him at his retirement. He began by telling me that I was chosen and that it was my time and that he was to become less as I became more, citing John chapter 3, verse 30. It was his signal that I was ready. He prepared me, he equipped me, he poured into me, and then he did something I will never ever be able to repay him for. He literally transferred his credibility to me. Think of that. He worked with me so closely and pointed to people and said that I could do this work and that he signaled to them that I'd be okay. He told people of influence that I would be able to be trusted and counted on, even though I had not earned that trust. And that was mentorship at its best. And I've tried to emulate that because of what he taught me and our staff here likewise. And I think all of us who are down the road a little bit in our Christian walk and experience can take that as something we can copy from Dr. Conrad, that mentoring. Just as Paul poured into Timothy, so should we do that with those who come after us. And I just thank the Lord for the life and ministry of Dr. Conrad, Harold A. Conrad, and what that means to all of us. So God bless you this day, and I hope you enjoy the videos that follow.
Debbie, Lauren, Becky, Paul, Jeff JENNESS had asked me if I would like to say a few words to all of you, and I immediately said yes, I would love to do that. So I began to think about what words I would like to say, and I remember that I kept the words that I spoke back at his retirement party in 1993. And so I think, if you don't mind, I would like to read those words. I'm not sure why I kept it after all these years, but I'm glad I did. So bear with me as I do read those. I have appreciated the many qualities that have already been mentioned this evening, but would like to narrow my thoughts to one aspect of your life that I have witnessed many times. That is your caring and encouraging spirit. It will be 17 years tomorrow that I began my working relationship with the board and you, Mr. Conrad. I came as an inexperienced college student In those very early days, your kind and encouraging words helped me as I struggled to learn the operations of the Board of Pensions. Through the years, I have witnessed numerous occasions when you took a potentially negative situation and turned it into a positive outcome. On more than one occasion, the board would receive a call from a frustrated member. I could easily relay the facts of the plan to this individual, but you were able to sympathize with the person's frustrations. Understanding the person's distress, you could turn a critical attitude to one of seeming pleasantry. Your caring response always seemed to make the difference. In my own personal life, this same caring response has proven to be true. Since I have known you, both you and Naomi have shown very deep concern in the struggles I have encountered. I can think of 3 words to describe the care and encouragement you have expressed to me. You were there. You were there in my bad times. You were there caring and encouraging when my first marriage ended. You were there as I became victim to a skin disease which led to emotional distress. You were there when my middle child had a serious case of pneumonia. You were there when my house was almost destroyed by fire. You were there when I lost my baby through a tubular pregnancy. You were also there, though, during my happier times. To mention just a few, you were there for the birth of my 3 beautiful daughters, and you were there at the marriage to my wonderful husband, Brian. Your ever-present words of encouragement and your and Naomi's endless prayers have meant so much to me. You deeply care for people, and I have personally been a beneficiary of your caring and encouraging spirit. Thank you, Mr. Conrad, for caring, for encouraging, and for being there. Well, these were the words that I spoke back in 1993, but I think they express how I felt about your dad. He was just always there, and I know that you feel the same way about him, that he's always been there for all of you. I know that one of the things that I have always touched my heart was his prayers. His prayers were so encouraging and so touching. They always meant a lot to me, and I know to Brian too. He also was with me many of the times that when I went to visit him at his place there at the assisted living. I just want to let you know my thoughts, my prayers, and my love go to each one of you. I know that your dad will be deeply missed by so many. He was such a great man of God, and I know I will miss him. Blessings to you.
Hello, my name is Jim Obold, and I currently serve as the president at Servant Solutions. And I'm proud to serve in the long history of lineage of Board of Pensions Servant Solutions leaders here under JENNESS just recently, and then Harold Conrad before him. I definitely am in following the footsteps of giants. Legacy with integrity. Those 2 words really embody Reverend Dr. Harold Conrad. I just have a couple of other words that I'd like to share, along with some just short stories from the memories I've had with Harold. He was very caring. I received a phone call from Dr. Conrad at our 7th Street location on my very first day here at the board. And that meant so much to me that he was willing to take time. He was retired at the time, to just welcome me. And so I could tell then that he was still very much a part of this organization and that he cared about it. Family was very important to him. I was able to attend the 7th Street Conrad Conference Room dedication there, and then we moved it across the hall, and then we moved here when we were growing, and every conference room from here on out has had Dr. Conrad's name on it. And so we love that legacy that we had, that we want to honor him and his work here. And what I remember is how much family filled the room, and how proud he was of his family, and really how proud his family was of him. And just to see that dynamic there, I really love that. He was generous. Yet at that very time, I heard from his grandson that Dr. Conrad financed all his grandkids a college education, and that he just gave and gave, and he was so generous with that. What a legacy for those families and their futures that he's leaving. He was supportive of this organization. I remember Becky would make sure that he would just attend our significant events, the retirements of Doug Hamlin, Catherine Allison, Jeff JENNESS, and our open house of our new facilities here. He would always attend. And at those times, I would always try to make sure I got a private moment with him and that we would be able to talk and just share. And during those times, he was so supportive and encouraging of my role here. And it just reminded me of my responsibility here with this organization. He was winsome. I have a prop here that I have on my desk now. This is a gorilla that has the Wall Street Journal in his lap and just kind of lost a little bit and saying, "Are you asking me about what the market will do?" We get a lot of our members that do that. And this used to be on Harold's desk, and we found it when we were cleaning out the basement of our 7th Street property to move to these offices. When I found out that this was on Harold's desk, I put it immediately on my desk because I wanted to be reminded of just that question. And I point a lot of folks to this gorilla when they ask me that, to say, I do not have a crystal ball. Ask the gorilla. And I'm always reminded of Harold and just his winsomeness, and for him to, he's very buttoned up, but at times, this shows his playful side, and I really appreciate that. Harold is a believer, and I think that's the most important part of all. I'm proud to call him my friend, and I really rejoice in his homegoing. He has a new body, a new beginning, and he's spending an eternity with Jesus. And what a gift that he's given his family, that they have that solid belief that he's with the Lord and he's in a better place. So thank you for everything, Harold. You'll be missed, but I look forward to seeing you again when we both share in the presence of our Lord. Legacy with integrity. That is Reverend Dr. Harold Conrad.
Dr. Conrad was one of the most gentle and spirit-led men I have ever known. He had already retired from his position as Chief Executive Officer with the Board of Pensions when I began working there. But even though we had known each other casually over the next few years as he continued working on a part-time basis with us, I gained a whole new level of appreciation for him. Members would call in specifically wanting to talk to him because they respected him so highly and trusted his counsel. He never had a down day. He was always cheerful and optimistic and relied on the Lord's strength and guidance daily. And that was never so evident as during the years that he cared for his beloved wife Naomi during her battle with Alzheimer's. He lovingly and faithfully took care of her day in and day out, continuing to work as much as he could, sometimes leaving her at an adult daycare facility in Anderson so that he could spend 3 hours or so in the office in the afternoon. But eventually that diminished and he had to stay home with her. But he would have never had it any other way. He was such an example to all of us in the way he cared for her. I remember another gentleman whose wife was experiencing the same, asking Dr. Conrad for some help with cooking advice. Dr. Conrad was a great baker, a great pie baker, and a cook. And obviously these men had become the chief cook and bottle washers of their homes. So he went over and spent some time with this gentleman, just showing him some tips. But I felt that was such a great bond that the two of them could share, and felt that Dr. Conrad really appreciated that chance to minister to him, knowing what he was going through. And it was just very fulfilling for him to be able to minister to him in that way. He was a great storyteller, having recounted many of his life experiences through ministry with us at the office. But hearing him tell of the passing of his first wife, Anne, and leaving behind him and their 3 young children was just so poignant. such a difficult and devastating time for him, and yet he continued pastoring during all of it and relied on the Savior's arms to give him strength. He is a unique individual, one who will be missed so greatly. I am so fortunate to have known him, so honored to have known him. He loved his family dearly, and they loved him. He will be missed not only by them, but by those of us who worked with him, knowing him as a trusted friend and giving individual. And he'll also be missed by those across the country, too numerous to even imagine, that relied on him for advice and just respected him so highly.
Hi, I'm Erin Wagner, and I'm the Chief Financial Officer here at Servant Solutions. I was hired in November of 2015, and it quickly became apparent to me that I was hired into a family and into an organization that represents excellence and service. The mission of Servant Solutions has consistently been to serve those who serve. And I think it's important that we don't ever lose sight of the fact that we are serving servants of the church with excellence. And I think that Dr. Conrad taught Jeff JENNESS many valuable lessons in his mentorship of him. And now Jeff has turned around and done that in his mentorship of Jim Obold and myself. And that service to our members as they begin their careers in the church all the way through until the day that they retire, and then through their retirement years, is critical to us. We want to make sure that we're there for our members and that they feel our presence and that they know that we're a trusted advisor to them. Because of our rich heritage of exceptional leaders, I feel a strong obligation as an upcoming leader in the Church of God to continue that heritage, to continue to build upon the foundation of excellence and service that leaders like Dr. Conrad and Jeff JENNESS laid as presidents of Servant Solutions.
My name is Natalie Farmer. I serve as the Chief of Staff at Church of God Ministries. Jesus has been the center in my life from the start because the Church of God family has raised me. I was born into Paul Tanner's family, and as his granddaughter, I had a vibrant understanding of the deep-rooted tradition and the connected legacy of the Church of God. Harold Conrad was a dear friend of my Grandpa Tanner's. They served together in many ways over the years, and I grew up understanding that Harold was a pillar who practiced presence in the way that Jesus modeled. Harold was kind and gentle in his approach. I remember him as being brilliant and trustworthy. He made himself available, and he practiced my favorite trait of Jesus, and that is empathy. When you spent time with Harold, you knew you had spent time in the presence of the King. I'm excited and optimistic about the future of the Church of God and the impact this movement can have on the world. It's because of the giants and the saints, like Harold, who came before me, that I'm able to now stand tall in leadership. I will honor Harold as I serve the movement. That's my promise. His legacy of bold leadership, cloaked in empathy and love, will shine on through me and the many others leading in this moment.
This is Jim Lyon, General Director at Church of God Ministries in Anderson, and I am so honored and privileged, humbled really, to be able to give a reflection about Harold Conrad, a towering figure. In every generation, there are some who become giants, whose influence is so good and so vast that people that they have never met and could not have imagined are blessed. And we in the Church of God have been blessed by Harold Conrad because he stood tall. He stood tall over many, many decades, and he helped create a platform for financial stability and integrity, not just in the pension program of the Church of God, but across the movement. His character, his gentle nature, his smile, and his grace were his signatures. A man of enormous discipline who also knew how to love well. Harold Conrad was one of a kind. He has few peers and none were finer. And on behalf of the whole Church of God, on behalf of the movement, I think I can say from my office, thank you, Harold, and wish his family all the best as we cover you in prayer as you say goodbye.
My memories of Dr. Harold A. Conrad go back many years to a time when both he and I were much younger. I first knew him when he was pastor of Glendale Church of God in Indianapolis. That congregation is now known as the Church at the Crossing. I knew him both personally and professionally. For several years, we were neighbors who lived one block apart. Even after his retirement and after he moved, he sent us a Christmas card every year without fail, clear into his 91st year. It was during his tenure as president of the Board of Pensions that I first enrolled in Church of God Pension Plan, one of the wisest decisions of my life and my ministry. In part, I have been able to live with some measure of comfort and security during my 20 years of retirement because of the benefits of participating in the Church of God pension program. I knew Dr. Conrad as a gifted servant of the Lord and his church. He continued to serve even after he retired. Although death causes us to mourn the loss of such an able servant, death does not destroy our memory. I have a large reservoir of wonderful memories of Harold Conrad. His legacy lives on in the lives he touched, the good influence he exerted on so many good causes, the example he set in the life he lived, and the Christian impact he had on his family. He was a generous person who also made prudent and judicious financial decisions. Countless ministry leaders have benefited from his wise counsel. I am honored to join his family, friends, and colleagues as we celebrate his life. God bless his memory and grant him eternal peace and rest.